Okay, first I have to apologize for the lighting and the audio. It's not very good, but it'll get better, so just stick with us. Hi everyone, welcome to our Three Mamas Drama channel. We're super excited to have you here and we've got lots of fun things to share, so welcome along for the ride. I'm gonna take just a little bit of time to tell you about myself. My sisters will be joining me on the channel here and there, so you'll get to hear from them too, but I'm going to take some time and tell you about yours truly. So if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about me, stay tuned. I'm Bethany. I'm a Southern sweetheart, a real housewife of Texas. I've got one busy baby boy and a little girl on the way. And I am one of three Mamas Drama. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I became who I am today, which is primarily a wife and mother. So it's going to be a short version of a long story, so hang with me. We'll just start from the beginning. My parents got married very young, right out of high school. They're high school sweethearts. How sweet. So they got married very young. So like the day after they graduated, I think they got married, which is crazy. I can't even imagine what that would be like. But anyway, they did. And they were married for a couple of years, and then they had my older sister, Leslie, who is also part of Three Mamas Drama. So you'll get to hear from her, which she's hilarious. You're gonna love her stories, I'm sure. She's the funny one, she and my younger sister. I'm not the funny one, but I think I bring a little something to the table, so hopefully you enjoy my parts of the channel too. Anyway, so they were married for a couple of years, had my older sister, Leslie, and then 13 short months later, they had me. And we're super tight. We're 13 months apart, so we've always been really close. I was born and raised in Oklahoma, so I'm an Okie girl through and through. Just had to put that in there, couldn't leave it out. Anyway, I don't really remember my parents being married. I think I was really young when they separated. I think I was about 2 years old when they separated for good. My mom remarried when I was 4 years old, and which was really fun. I had a great stepdad. I still had a good relationship with my biological dad. You know, I saw him on every other weekend and holidays and that kind of thing. So it was that setup. So it was a good mutual, you know, kind of agreement between my parents, and they were always cordial with each other, which made it nice. But my mother did remarry, and I got a little sister, like I said, and they were married for several years. We were a happy family for a good long time, and a lot of good memories together and things like that. And then just craziness happened, things that you would not believe, but that's for a whole nother story, so we'll save that for another time. So anyway, craziness happened, and my mom became a single mother of 3 little girls. And in the meantime, my dad remarried and had 2 little girls out of that marriage, and so it was girl world all the time, whether it was at my mom's house with my sisters, or we would go to my dad, you know, on the weekends and holidays, and I had my sisters there. So it was crazy. Girls all the time, everywhere. Unfortunately, my dad's marriage with my stepmom also did not last. They divorced as well, and so I was seeing just a lot of failed marriages and hard relationships and things like that. So you can imagine spending the majority of my upbringing with no consistent father figure in the picture, that it affected me. And it affects anyone who's in that situation, whether you know it or not, or whether you want it to or not, it does. And as you can imagine, I had a handful of long-term relationships at a very young age. The majority of these relationships were unhealthy relationships, but they seemed somewhat normal to me, you know, compared to the things that I had seen, you know, my parents go through with their spouses. And so to me, it really didn't seem that wrong or bad, or didn't seem that unhealthy. I think I was just so desperate to know what love was, and to know that love could last forever, because I had not seen that, in my own experience thus far in my life. I hadn't seen it, and I wanted to know it was true, and I wanted to know it was out there. I don't think I cared at the time, or at least didn't know how much those relationships were affecting me in a negative way, and how much they were holding me back from becoming who I was really meant to be. So I had a boyfriend throughout my high school years, the same boyfriend, which was crazy. I mean, who dates the same guy for 4 years in high school? That's the time you're supposed to be single and have fun and go out with your friends and just be you and do you, But no, not me. I had a boyfriend throughout my entire high school existence. Probably one of the most unhealthy relationships I had ever been in. And we both did things to hurt each other. I mean, I think we were both guilty of some things that, weren't good for our relationship, damaged our self-esteem, those kind of things. And you would think that those things would be what separated us, but I would just try harder to keep us together. I would do anything and everything to hold on to this relationship because I wanted to know that it could be forever. As my senior year was coming to an end, I decided I was going to follow in my older sister's footsteps. I was going to go to OSU and have the best time. My boyfriend at the time was not okay with this, and he basically told me that I could stay there and be with him, or I could go to school and I could leave. Basically give me an ultimatum. You can either be with me, be here, or you can go to school, but I'm not going to stay with you if you go off to college. So that was a bit of a turning point for me. I was so tired of bending over backwards and trying to make this relationship work when I knew deep down that we were so wrong for each other. So at that point, I had a choice to make. And honestly, there was no hesitation in my mind that I was going to go to college and I was going to go to OSU. Needless to say, that decision ended that relationship. So off I went to OSU, where I had some of the best times in my life, met some of the coolest people, had so much fun. It wasn't easy at first, I didn't know who I was without this boyfriend. I had always had a boyfriend and I didn't know who I was. I was always someone's girlfriend. So it took me a while, I was very insecure. I, quickly realized that I had no clue who I was on my own. And during my college years, I really took some time to get to know me and to love myself and know myself and to figure out what I truly wanted out of life. I spent so much of my young adult life in these relationships trying to make somebody else happy when really I should have been spending that time making myself happy and building myself up and becoming, who I was meant to be. And so that when the time was right, I could be that person and be ready to be in a relationship with the person that I really wanted to be with and the man that I really wanted to spend my life with. But I wasted a lot of time, just in these meaningless relationships that really did a lot of damage in the end. And I had to kind of backtrack and really rebuild my self-esteem. It was a lot of work. So if you can save yourself from that, young girls out there, I would suggest just not having a boyfriend. I wasn't allowed to date till I was 16 anyway, but have a boyfriend. Anyway, if my little girl wants to have a boyfriend before she's even old enough to date, they're gonna be some problems, okay? That ain't gonna happen. Because I'm having a girl right now, so that is not happening. No. But my mom was a single mother. She did an awesome job. She did the best she could with her circumstance, and I think she has 3 pretty awesome girls that came out of some crazy times. So kudos to her. Shout out to you, Mom. So during my college years, I did date around a little bit, just here and there, nothing serious. I really kind of knew all the guys I went to college with, and they were like my brothers. So I wasn't really into dating them beyond like a first date. Like I never said no to a first date because I just think, you don't know who that person is. You can give them a first date. There's nothing wrong with that. Go out to know them a little better. So I never said no to a first date, which sometimes I wish I would have. But So I did date a few guys through college, but like I said, nothing serious came out of any of those dates. And when I graduated, I moved off to Tulsa and I worked as a teacher. Shout out to my aunts who let me crash at their place for quite a while I got myself on my feet for my first real adulting experience of having a job and all of those things. So I decided when I graduated and I was working that I was ready to start dating, but date with the intention of getting married and having a family one day. So this made dating so much easier. I had a true purpose for dating. It wasn't just to make these relationships last because I had never seen that before and I wanted to know it was true. I took time to build myself up and to really love myself, and I was ready to find the man of my dreams. So that's what I did. I started to kind of date around a little bit, but wasn't really interested in any of the guys in my area. And so I decided to make an account on a dating website. I know. My husband was so embarrassed to tell people about this, but anyway, I made myself an account on a Christian dating website, and I had fun on there for a little while, just talking to people, back and forth conversations, things like that. I'd never met anyone in person off of the site, but it got kind of, after a while, it was like, okay, you get on, you check it, people are, sending these little flirts and stuff, and kind of sending you comments and things like that. And so you comment back and have these short, just cute conversations with people, but nothing serious came out of any of that. So I stopped getting on it as much. And it wasn't something that I checked as frequently. Nothing's really gonna come out of this, right? It's just for fun. I was wrong. I randomly got back on my account one day just to see if anyone new, had shown any interest in me. And there was a gentleman who sent me a message and just, I'd like to get to know you, that kind of thing. So I went to his profile. You gotta check out his profile, right? I mean, you gotta see if he's good looking or if he looks like a creep, because there are some creeps out there. This guy had no picture, no description, nothing on his profile. So I was like, okay, this could be like a really creepy person that is trying to lure me in with no picture and all these things, and he's like a secret convict or something, or maybe he's just mysterious in a good way. So I was curious. It piqued my interest. There was nothing there. I was like, okay, who is this guy? And so I messaged him a couple times on this dating website. He seemed like a nice guy. He sent me a couple pictures of himself, and I was like, okay, good. And he did. He's so attractive. Yeah, so we messaged each other a couple times on there. And then we exchanged email addresses. I didn't feel comfortable giving him my number yet, so I gave him my email address. So we emailed back and forth a couple times, and then when I decided to give him my number, and we were texting back and forth for a little while. We went from chatting online to emailing to texting each other. He's super nice. He's really attractive. And he seems like a good guy. So, I think I'm interested in getting to know him a little better, but I kind of let him take the reins because he did live in Texas and I lived in Oklahoma. So I was like, okay, well, we're just going to talk and I'll let him decide when, if we want to meet or anything like that. And he did. He wanted to meet me. He wanted to take me on a date. And so I told him he was welcome to come up to Oklahoma and take me on a date if he really wanted to. And he did. He drove up from Texas. I never talked to him even on the phone one time before he knocked on my door and he called. He was like, I think I'm out front. And I was like, oh, that was the first time I ever heard his voice, which was also kind of crazy that we never talked on the phone. We just text each other until our first date. I opened the door and there he was, and he was just as handsome as he was in his pictures, which was a nice surprise because sometimes you get those, you get those ones who post the pictures from way back when, and then you see him in person and it's like, no, okay, but he was super, super handsome. So anyway, took me on a first date, and the rest is history. I mean, he was perfect for me, but a lot of that had to do with me being where I needed to be and being ready for something like that to take place. Because if I had not had taken time for myself and built myself up and really became the woman that I wanted to be, it would never have worked. It would never have worked. All the relationships would have failed. And yeah, I was just ready, and he was wonderful. He was everything I had ever wanted in a husband. He is still everything I ever want more to this day. And so anyway, we dated for about 9 months. I think 9 months. We got engaged and then we got married. So it was a really quick engagement. Relationship in general, I mean, before you get married, that's pretty short. But I just knew he was the one for me. And it's funny because I always hear people say that, when you know me, you know. But it's true. I did. I knew with him that right away, this is my husband. And it was just some of the most exciting times of my life. I still remember all the sweet moments we had dating, and then getting engaged, and then leading up to the wedding, and then getting married, and then the honeymoon phase, and all of those fun things. I mean, it's just the best. You never forget those. You know, we got married, and then after that, we worked really hard to pay off our student loan debt. We both put ourselves through school, so we had, quite an amount of student loan debt to take care of. But we worked really hard for a year and a half and paid it off completely. We were super proud of ourselves. So we set goals together, we were moving forward together. It was always together, together, together. He always had my best interest at heart, and I always had his best interest at heart. So it wasn't a selfish relationship. It was putting each other first. And that's what made it so easy. If you're always working hard to make your significant other happy, then, I mean, what can go wrong, right? We were married for about 2 years, and we decided we wanted to start our family. And so, I mean, we got pregnant right away with my son, who is now a year old. I can't believe it, it's already a year. Yeah, we have one sweet, busy little boy. And then we've got a little girl on the way, which we're super excited about. I worked when we were married, and now I'm at home with my babies. Well, my baby and the baby in my belly. But it's so much fun. It's always where I pictured myself being, but really didn't know if it would be a reality for me. With the circumstances I grew up in, I just wasn't sure. I was like, no, this is gonna happen to me. I'm gonna be a single mother. I'm gonna have to work like a dog to provide for my family, just to put food on the table. Like, I thought that was gonna be, that was inevitable for me, but it wasn't. You can break that cycle. Perfect yourself before you can be perfected in a relationship with someone. And you just have to take time for yourself and to build yourself up to become who you need to be before you can be with somebody else. We have a very happy life together, and I'm so happy with where I am. It's where I've always wanted to be. I always pictured myself as a wife and then a mother, and to be able to stay home with my kids. That was always my dream, my goal, to raise my children, and I'm doing that, and I'm so happy. Couldn't be happier. It was a long journey to get to where I am today, but I wouldn't change any of it because it made me who I am today. And there are, a lot of the things that happened were out of my control anyway. There wasn't anything I could do to have changed it. The relationships I was in, that was probably something I could have changed myself, but at the time I just didn't know. I didn't know any different. I am truly happy to be here where I am and to be part of 3 Mamas Drama. And we're excited to take you on our journey and to tell you about all of the fun things and the crazy things that happen to us as mothers and wives and sisters, and just everything that happens. It's crazy. And so we're super pumped to have you along for the ride. Like I said, you'll hear from my sisters, kind of here and there as well, and they're hilarious. You're gonna love them. So stay tuned for them. They'll keep you entertained for sure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.